Hello and welcome to Dr. Said's English World. I'm Dr. Said Madpouli and this is going to be video number 4 in which I'm going to introduce to you the English language course for the third year secondary in Egypt. أهلا بكم في القناة. معكم دكتور سيد مدبولي. ده هيكون الفيديو رقم 4 اللي بنقدم فيه منهج اللغة الإنجليزية لطلابنا في الثانوية العامة في مصر. In this video, this video is going to be part 3 of Listen to Unit 1. And as usual, this is what I'm going to introduce to you. طبعا الفيديو ده هيكون الجزء الثالث من الدرس الثاني في الوحدة الأولى، وده طبعا اللي احنا بنقدمه لكم دايما. You have got it in Arabic in front of you. I'd like to remind you that with us you don't need a private tutor. دايما هذكرك انك معنا مش محتاج مدرس خصوصي. And I'd like also to remind you of the fact that we teach you English and not about English. إن إحنا اللي بنعمله إن إحنا بندرسك اللغة الإنجليزية ولا ندرسك بعض المعلومات عن اللغة الإنجليزية. Okay, if you go to page 8 of your student book, you will find this focus on language. لو رحت الصفحة 8 من كتاب الطالب عندك هتلاقي هذا الجزء اللي هو focus on language. It's actually a part, dealing with grammar. طبعا الجزء ده بيتناول اللي هو القواعد. It actually introduces 3 different tenses. بيقدم 3 أزمنة مختلفة: the past simple، هذا الماضي البسيط، the past continuous، وهذا الماضي المستمر، and the present perfect، وهذا المضارع التام. Okay, we're going to deal with the tenses one by one in the book, but we're going to introduce each one in detail. احنا نتناول الأزمنة واحد واحد زي ما هو موجود في الكتاب، ولكننا أيضا هنقدمه بشكل مفصل كل زمن، every tense. Okay, so let's go and do this. This is actually the part in the book which deals with the past simple. Okay, so let's see what we have got in the book. خلينا كده نشوف اللي عندنا ايه في الكتاب عن الماضي البسيط. And after this we're going to introduce the past simple in detail. بعد ما نقدم اللي في الكتاب هنقدم احنا بقى الماضي البسيط بطريقتنا بالتفصيل. It says here, use the past simple to talk about actions which started and finished in the past. استخدم الماضي البسيط عشان تتحدث عن أحداث حصلت بدأت وانتهت في الماضي. For example, على سبيل المثال, there was one grumpy person that I remember. And by the way, all these sentences or examples are from the interview between the student reporter and the journalist. لو تفتكروا كل الجمل دي من المقابلة الانترفيو اللي بين اللي هو الستودنت ريبورتر، الطالب اللي شغال كريبورتر مراسل صحفي يعني، واحد الصحفيين الجورنالست. اوكي، كل الجمل من هذه المقابلة. If you look here, there was one grumpy person that I remember. Was in the past of, actually was, it's in the past simple. طبعا was هنا في الماضي البسيط. In the past of is. طبعا هي الماضي من is. Okay. The actor didn't want to answer my questions. الممثل لم يكن يريد، ما كانش عاوز يجاوب على أسئلتي. Okay. لم يكن يريد الإجابة على أسئلتي. ف didn't want, this is past simple but it's negative. طبعا didn't want هنا في الماضي البسيط ولكنها في النفي. So didn't want is the past of wanted. يعني didn't want دي الماضي من wanted. After using didn't we removed the ed. بعد ما استخدمنا didn't شلنا ال ed من الفاعل. Okay, it's also used to talk about what? A sequence of actions or events in the past. بيستخدم للكلام عن سلسلة من الأحداث في الماضي. Let's have a look at some examples. خلينا كده نشوف بعض الأمثلة. And again, all the examples are from the same interview. كلها من نفس المقابلة اللي اتكلمنا عنها. I started as a trainee on a local newspaper and then I started a 3-year apprenticeship. فهنا عندي I started, this is in the past, ده طبعا في الماضي, and also started again, also in the past. It's a regular verb, طبعا فعل قياسي, so it is the past form of start. طبعا الفعل started اللي هو الماضي من start, أضفنا له ed لأنه فعل قياسي. Repeated actions and habits in the past. So it talks about repeated actions and habits in the past. أحداث أو عادات متكررة في الماضي. When I first wrote news stories, I often included my own feelings and opinions. So wrote is the past of write. طبعا wrote هنا الماضي من write, and included. Of course, wrote is an irregular verb, فعل شاذ طبعا. هو هنا الماضي منه write. آسف, هو الماضي من write wrote. And included is a regular verb at the past form of include. We only added d to the verb because the verb ends in e. هنا في الحالة دي هذا included فعل قياسي بينتهي بإي فأضفنا له d فقط. Now let's go and see what we're going to introduce to you about the past simple. We're going to introduce it in detail. خلينا دلوقتي بقى نروح وهنقدم الماضي البسيط بالتفصيل. Okay, let's start talking about formation, the formation of the present simple. We're going to talk about the formation with regard to regular verbs and irregular verbs. خلينا نبدأ بالتكوين. هنتكلم عن الأفعال القياسية وهنتكلم على الأفعال اللي هي الشاذة أو غير القياسية. And we're going to start with regular verbs. In case of regular verbs, you have got to add ed or d to the end of the verb. So في الأفعال القياسية هنضيف إما ed أو d للفعل depending on the last letter of the verb. Okay, so if you have a look at the verb like work, for example, remember I told you that any verb in English has three forms. The conjugation of the verb. Okay, احنا بنتكلم على تصريف الأفعال وعندنا ثلاث أشكال. We have present, which is form 1, and then past, which is form 2, and past participle, which is form 3. تصريف أول, تصريف ثاني, تصريف ثالث, as we said or mentioned in all our videos. زي ما بنذكر في كل الفيديوهات. So if we have work as an example, so form 1 is going to be work, form 2 or the past is going to be worked, and form 3 or the past participle is also going to be worked. And not say that we added ed at the end of the verb, and also for the past participle we are going to add ed. هنلاحظ هنا ان احنا اما بنكون التصريف الثاني والثالث في الافعال القياسيه زي work بنضيف ed لنهايه الفعل. Okay, so let's have a look at work. In the past simple is going to be worked. We are going to add ed to the verb. And by the way, pay attention to the pronunciation of ed. عايزك يعني طبعا احنا هنضيف لwork هنضيف لها ed عشان نكون اللي هو الماضي the past. لكن عايزك تهتم بنطق ed لان في حالة work ed بتتنطق ت, so we say worked. Okay, let's have a look at another verb, a verb like clean, for example. Again, we're going to add ed to the end of the verb. It's going to be cleaned. If you have a look at a verb like love, it ends in e. That's why we're going to add only d. We don't need to add ed. الأفعال اللي زي love طبعا هنضيف لها d فقط لأنها تنتهي ب e. And also live is the same. طبعا live برضو نفس العملية. We're going to add only d to the verb. So add it only d. طبعا live نفس الشيء. Okay, if you look at a verb like play, a verb like play ends on y, okay, preceded by a vowel. And these are the five vowels, the five vowel letters in English, A, E, I, O, and U. طبعا دي الفعل y هنا, آسف, الفعل play بينتهي ب y قبلها حرف متحرك, ودي الخمس حروف المتحركة اللي عندنا في اللغة الإنجليزية. And if you look at the verb cry, it's different. How? pardon فعل cry هنا مختلف له. It ends in a y preceded by a consonant. هنا بقى انتهى بواي قبله حرف ساكن. And these are the 21 consonants أو consonant letters. دي الحروف اللي هي الكونسونانتس اللي هي السواكن 21 اللي في اللغة الإنجليزية. So what's going to happen here? If we look at play, okay, so simply we're going to add ed. Okay, في حالة play اللي فيها الواي قبلها حرف متحرك ببساطة هنضيف ed. But in the case of cry, the situation is different. So what we're going to do is that we're going to delete the y and add ied. Okay, let's now talk about the spelling of ed. Actually, we have different cases. Look at this case, which is case number 1, verbs ending in 2 consonants. Look at, for example, and these are the 21 consonants. I always, refer to them. Look at the verb work. It ends in 2 consonants, R and K. In this case, what we're going to do is just add ed at the end of the verb. So work becomes worked. Okay, this is the first case. خلينا نشوف بقى السبيلنج بتاع الاي في نهاية الأفعال. دي أول حالة عندنا لما يكون الفعل بينتهي بحرفين ساكنين زي work هنا طبعا، ودي الحروف السواكن الأحرف السواكن 21. في الحالات ببساطة بنضيف للفعل ed. Okay, let's move to case number 2. Verbs ending in 1 consonant preceded by 2 vowels, like for example the verb clean. Look at clean, it ends in 1 consonant preceded by 2 vowels. الحالة الثانية لو الفعل بينتهي بساكن واحد زي الN، طبعا الN consonant here it is. Okay, preceded by آسف قبله حرفين متحركين. So simply we add, and by the way, these are the 5 vowel letters. So we simply add ed at the end of the verb. It's like number 1 exactly. زي رقم 1 بالضبط هنضيف ed. So number 1 and 2 are similar or the same. Okay, let's have a look at the third case. Verbs ending in the vowel e, like for example the verb love, and simply we add the letter D to the verb. Okay, طبعا لو بينتهي بإيه المنطق إن إحنا هنضيف D فقط. Okay, now verbs ending in Y, like for example play. Okay, preceded by play ends in a Y preceded by 1 vowel. Okay, and in this case we simply add ed at the end of the verb. طبعا هنا في الحالة دي لو الواي آسف الفعل بينتهي بواي قبلها حرف متحرك واحد اهو بنضيف ed لنهاية الفعل. As we explained before. طبعا we explained all these points in the previous slide. شرحنا طبعا كل الكلام ده في الشريحة اللي فاتت. But we are going to add more information in this slide. Okay, if the verb ends in Y preceded by a consonant, okay, لو هينتهي بواي قبلها حرف ساكن, so what we're going to do is what you know, we're going to delete the Y and add IED. لو هينتهي بواي قبلها حرف ساكن هنعمل ايه؟ هنحذف الواي وهنضيف IED. Okay, let's have a look at the fourth case, الحالة الرابعة. 1 syllable verbs ending 1 consonant preceded by 1 vowel. Okay, like stop for example. هنا مثلا عندي الفعل ده 1 syllable verb يعني فعل مكون من مقطع واحد، فعل قصير بمعنى آخر يعني. بينتهي بحرف ساكن اللي هو طبعا حرف ال P. Preceded by 1 vowel وقبله حرف متحرك واحد. So in this case what we do is the following. We just double the consonant and add ed. في الحالة دي بقى هنضاعف الحرف الساكن اهو double P وضفنا ed. Okay. Let's have a look at another example. We have plan. Plan ends in N, which is one consonant, preceded by one vowel, the letter A. So it's similar to stop. What we're going to do is the same. We're going to double the N, okay, and we're going to add ED, okay. Let's have a look at this exceptional case. By the way, W and X are exceptions. طبعا WX يا جماعة تعتبر حالات استثنائية أو حالات شاذة. Of course, if you look at the verb snow, the verb snow ends in a W, which is a consonant, preceded by one vowel, and snow is a one-syllable verb. لو بصيت للسنو هتلاقي نفس stop وبلان من ناحية إيه؟ إنه هو بينتهي بحرف ساكن واحد قبله متحرك واحد. According to our rule, we're supposed to double the W, but we're not going to do this. طبعا طبقا للقاعدة المفروض إن إحنا نعمل doubling للW، بس إحنا مش هنعمل كده. And I'm going to tell you why. هقول لكم ليه. So snow, we're going just to add ED. We're not going to double the W. Because when we add ED or any ending to the to any verb, we depend basically on pronunciation rather than spelling. يعني احنا لما بنيجي نضيف نهاية زي ال ED لأي فعل احنا بنعتمد على النطق أكثر من التهجي. يعني if you look at the word snow, this is the pronunciation of the word snow. ده نطق كلمة snow. It ends in a diphthong, and a diphthong consists of two vowels. لو بصينا للسنو هنا يا جماعة هنلاقيها بتنتهي حاجة بنسميها احنا في علم الصوتيات diphthong، وعبارة عن two successive vowels، يعني اثنين vowels كأصوات snow ورا بعض. in this case we don't consider W as a consonant. ما بنعتبرش W consonant، ما بنعتبرهاش زي مثلا ال P ال N أو ال P، فعشان كده بنضيف لها ED. If you look at, for example, okay, if you look at fix, okay, fix ends in X, which is a consonant, preceded by I, which is a vowel, and we're supposed to double the X, but we're not going to do this. Again, we're going to add only ED. برضه في حالة fix نفس العملية بتنتهي بإكس اللي هو consonant قبلها vowel واحد. المفروض احنا نتبع القاعدة بإن احنا نعمل doubling للإكس، لكن برضه ما عملناش doubling. Why? We added only ED. Why? If you look at the pronunciation of fix، بص كده على نطق fix، I will notice that it ends in two consonants. هتلاقي انها بتنتهي باثنين سواكن K and S. Okay, so it is like the first case. It's like work. أصبحت في الحالة دي زي الحالة الأولى اللي هي work, and that's why we added ED. Okay, let's now deal with the pronunciation of the ED at the end of regular verbs. خلونا دلوقتي نتكلم على نطق ال ED في نهاية الأفعال اللي هي القياسية. And by the way, it's highly important because a lot of us mispronounce the ED at the end of the regular verbs. طبعا يعني نسبة كبيرة جدا مننا بتنطقها غلط, whether the students or the teachers. Okay, يعني unfortunately both students and teachers. طبعا للأسف يعني مش بس التلاميذ حتى المدرسين. Okay, ED is pronounced at the end of verbs as in three different ways. طبعا ED تتنطق بطرق مختلفة as ت or as d or as ed. Okay, let's have a look at the pronunciation of ED as ت. طبعا ال ED بتتنطق في نهاية الأفعال بثلاث طرق مختلفة, إما ت أو د أو ed. Okay, so let's start with the pronunciation of ED as ت. نشوف كده نطقها كت. After verbs ending in p sound, the p sounds, for example, we have here helped, so we say helped, and this is the phonetic transcription of the verb. دي الكتابة الصوتية helped. okay. هنا فال ed بعد p sound اتنطق t sound. So don't say helped, say helped. okay. After k, so we have here book. I'm sorry, look. Even book is right. Look. So we have here looked. okay. This is the phonetic transcription of the verb. طبعا هنا الكتابة الصوتية للفعل. After f sound, the f. okay. Sniff, sniffed. After gh pronounced as f sound. طبعا gh لما تتنطق كالصوت ف. Like laugh, we say laughed. okay. After sh, so we say washed. okay. And this is the phonetic transcription of the verb. After ch, as pronounced as ch. So, for example, we have here watched, watched, and this is the phonetic transcription of the verb. After ss, as in, for example, kiss, kissed. okay. After the letter c pronounced as s. طبعا بعد الحرف السي عندما ينطق ك s, because sometimes you know the letter c is pronounced as k sound, as for example in the word cancer. So the word cancer has two c letters. One is pronounced as k, as can, and then the other one is pronounced as cancer. okay. So when the letter c is pronounced as s, as in danced. okay. This is the phonetic transcription. And after x, as in, for example, fix, fixed. okay. So this is actually all about the verb endings after which we pronounce the ed as t. دي طبعا يا جماعة كل هي الأحرف اللي بعدها بننطق ال ed ك t. Pay attention to them. This is the most problematic area and the most important. طبعا نطقها ك t هو أهم حاجة، هي النقطة اللي فيها مشاكل. But as for the D and the the D and ed, they are very easy. I mean, we automatically pronounce them, properly. طبعا هنا بالنسبة للدي والed احنا تلقائيا بنطقهم صح. يعني to a great extent طبعا لحد كبير يعني. So let's have a look at verbs. Okay. The verb endings after which the ed is pronounced as t. خلينا نشوف كده الأفعال اللي هي نهايات الأفعال اللي بعدها بتتنطق ال ed كد sound. After the letter b, the b as in rubbed. Also the g sound, damaged. Okay. After L as in cold, M as in calmed, N as in cleaned, R as in offered. After S, pronounce it as Z. لما يكون حرف الاس بينطق كز. Okay, like for example, refused. So the S here is pronounced as Z. After the V, waved. After the Z or Z, amazed. Okay. Let's have a look at the verb endings after which the ed is pronounced as ed. خلينا نشوف كده آخر حاجة اللي هي نهايات الأفعال اللي بعدها بتتنطق ال ed ك ed. طبعا after t and d. Okay, only t and d. So and we have here wanted and needed or landed, for example. I've actually prepared this list of regular verbs ending in ed, which is pronounced as a t sound. And actually there are a lot of verbs. دي قائمة أنا جهزتها فيها الأفعال اللي هي بتنتهي ب ed وتنطق ك t sound. There are a lot of them. So for example, announced, cooked, walked, talked, finished, typed, danced, watched, looked, missed, rushed, hoped, wished, traced, practiced, coughed, helped. And I'm going to read all of them. Developed, stepped, wrapped, discussed, laughed, brushed, reduced, escaped, jumped, promised, touched, fixed, okay, checked, rehearsed, pushed, faked, placed. Okay, so pay attention to the pronunciation of the ed as t, please. طبعا دي قائمة فيها مجموعة من الأفعال اللي فيها ال ed بتتنطق كت، فأرجو الاهتمام بها. Let's now talk about irregular verbs. Okay, as I keep repeating, any verb has three forms. Form 1, which is present, form 2, which is past, and form 3, which is I'm just activating the laser pointer. Form 1, which is present, form 2, which is past, and form 3, which is the past participle. قلت دايما زي ما بكرر أي فعل له ثلاث تصريفات. التصريف الأول المضارع، التصريف الثاني الماضي، والتصريف الثالث اللي هو ال past participle. If we have a look at, for example, go, this is present, the past is went, and the past participle is gone. فعل زي go مثلا، هذا التصريف الأول go، والتصريف الثاني went، والتصريف الثالث gone. A verb like see, we have saw, seen. Okay, so the past is saw. A verb like meet, met, met, the past is met. Eat, ate, eaten. Okay, so the past is ate. Let's have a look, for example. So in case we are going to use go in the past simple, so we're going to use went. Okay, طبعا هنا لو هنستخدم مثلا الفعل go في الماضي البسيط فهنستخدم went. If we're going to use see, so we're going to use saw. لو هنستخدم see فطبعا هنستخدم saw التصريف الثاني. If we're going to use meet, okay, so we're going to use met. For eat, we're going to have ate. Okay, and because of ate, I have a question for you. طبعا هنا في الماضي البسيط هنستخدم طبعا التصريف الثاني. اوكي، وبمناسبة 8 أنا عندي بس سؤال لكم. Why is 10 afraid of 7? This is sort of a riddle. ده زي لغز كده يعني مثلا. Why is 10 ليه العشرة afraid of 7 خايفة من السبعة? Why? Do you know the answer? Anyhow, the answer is because 7, 8, 9. And by the way, 8 has the same pronunciation of the number 8. Okay? نفس نطق 8 هو نفس the past form of the verb eat. نطق الحرف آسف الرقم 8 هو نفس نطق التصريف الثاني للفعل eat, so هو 8. So 8 the number and 8 the past form of verb eat are the same. Okay, now let's have a look at verb to be in the past simple. خلينا نشوف verb to be in the past simple. And as you know, any verb, as I keep repeating, any verb has three forms. Form 1 is the present, so we have to remember verb to be. In the present we have am, is, and are. In the past we have was and were. And the past participle we have been or been. And in this case we are going to use was and were because we are talking about the past simple. طبعا خلونا نشوف verb to be في الماضي البسيط. قلنا أي فعل له ثلاث تصريفات. في المضارع عندنا am, is, و are. وفي الماضي عندنا was و were. وفي التصريف الثالث been or been. وطبعا طالما بنتكلم عن الماضي البسيط يبقى هنستخدم was أو were. So let's see
when we're going to use was and when we're going to use were. Actually, with the pronouns I, he, she, and it, okay, we use was. And with the pronouns you, we, and they, we use were. Okay. هنا مع الضمائر I وهي وشي وإت بنستخدم was. مع you, we, وthey بنستخدم were. Okay. Let's have a look at some examples. I was here last year, so I was. Okay. They were absent yesterday. They were. Okay. Okay, let's now talk about uses of the past simple. Okay, and also give some examples. We use the past simple to express an action that began and ended in the past, or a finished action. طبعا احنا هنتكلم وقت عن استخدامات الماضي البسيط. الماضي البسيط بيستخدم للتعبير عن حدث بدأ أو انتهى في الماضي، حدث منتهي. It's actually used with time indicators such as. دي طبعا الكلمات الدالة على الزمن. We've got yesterday, last, ago, in 2018, or any past date. طبعا 2018 أو أي تاريخ ماضي يعني. In olden or ancient times. Once upon a time, and in the past. Okay, of course there are other time indicators. طبعا في كلمات أخرى دالة على الزمن. Okay, let's now have a look at some examples. They arrived home late yesterday. If you look at this sentence, so we have here the verb arrived, and it is the past form of the verb arrive. Okay, طبعا عندنا arrived ده الماضي من الفعل arrive. We only added D to the verb because the verb actually ends in the letter E. هنا أضفنا دي فقط لأن الفعل بينتهي ب E. And yesterday is the time indicator or the tense expression. طبعا yesterday هي الكلمة الدالة على الزمن. Let's have a look at other examples. She went to Luxor a year ago. Okay, so went here is the past form of the verb go. طبعا هنا went التصريف الثاني من الفعل go, and ago is the time indicator. ago هنا كلمة دالة على الزمن. Let's have a look at other examples. Number 3, they left Egypt in 1990, and 1990 is a past date. Now it is 2022. احنا حاليا في 2022. فطبعا أي تاريخ قبل 2022 يصبح ماضي. So they left Egypt in 1990. Of course, left is the past form of the verb leave. left هنا التصريف الثاني من الفعل leave. And as I said, in 1990, this is the tense indicator. Okay. Now, this is the second usage to express past habits and repeated actions. الاستخدام الثاني للتعبير عن العادات اللي كانت في الماضي أو الأحداث اللي كانت متكررة في الماضي. Let's have a look at some examples. Last year, I played football every Friday. So here, played is the past form of the verb play. طبعا هنا played التصريف الثاني من الفعل play. It's a regular verb. And last is the tense indicator. last هي كلمة دالة على الزمن. لما نبص للجملة دي last year I played football every Friday. This is a repeated action or in the past. طبعا أنا الجملة معناها السنة اللي فاتت كنت بلعب كرة كل يوم جمعة. اوكي، فهذا معناها ان هذه كانت عادة في الماضي، كانت متكررة في الماضي. Let's have a look at another example. Last summer I went to the beach every Friday. Okay, so went is the past form of the verb go. طبعا last هنا اللي هي الماضي من الفعل go. دي كانت it was a past habit or a repeated action in the past. طبعا دي كانت عادة في الماضي. Last summer الصيف اللي فات I went to the beach every Friday. كنت بروح للشاطئ كل كل جمعة. And by the way, if you look at the word beach, you know, please don't pronounce it bitch, okay? Because a lot of Arab speakers of English shorten this vowel and pronounce beach as bitch, okay? So please, it's a completely different meaning, okay? فمحدش ينطق كلمة beach ك bitch, okay? Like for example, teach, a lot of people say teach, okay?
Let's talk about more uses of the past simple and give some examples. Using the past simple to express hypothetical condition or a real past. خلينا نتكلم على المزيد من استخدامات الماضي البسيط. استخدامه to express hypothetical condition اللي هو الشرط الافتراضي أو unreal past. And in this case we are going to use it with if, the second conditional, okay? The second conditional اللي هو الحالة الثانية من قاعدة if. بنستخدم فيها في الحالات بنستخدم الماضي البسيط. Let's have a look at some examples. If I were you, I'm sorry, if he were you, he would marry her. Okay? If you look at the if clause, لو بصينا لجملة if هنا, we say if he were. Okay? The usual thing is to say if he was. طبعا الشيء العادي حتى لما بعبر عن الماضي البسيط مع he بقول he was وليس he were. Okay? Why? Because actually it's supposed to be the right thing to say if he was you, he takes was, right? But it's not right. We are going to say if he were, not if he was. هنا مش هنقول يا جماعة if he was واللي احنا بنفترض ان هي الاستخدام الصحيح في الماضي البسيط بنقول he was ما بنقولش he were. لكن هنا في الحالة دي هنقول he were. Okay? And as you all know, زي ما انتم كلكم عارفين, I, he, she and it take what? It takes was in the past simple. طبعا بتاخد was في الماضي البسيط. And you, we and they take were. Okay? طبعا you, we و they بياخدوا were في الماضي البسيط. But in this case, the second conditional, the unreal past, we're going to use were with all subject pronouns or all subjects. في الحالة دي هنستخدم were مع كل الضمائر سواء مفرد أو جمع أو مع أي فاعل مفرد أو فاعل جمع. Okay. Let's have a look at another example. If I were a bird, I would fly high in the sky. لو كنت طائر هطير عالي في السماء. طبعا again it's number 2 is similar to number 1. هنا مثلا جملة رقم 1 if he were you لو كان هو مكانك he would marry her كان اتجوزها. هنا if I were a bird لو كنت طائر I would fly high in the sky. Again we're using if. This is the if clause and I were, I don't say I was. Okay? I would, and this is the main clause, I would fly high in the sky. Okay? We have here would and the infinitive. طبعا احنا هنا في المين clause في السكند conditional الجملة الرئيسية اللي هنا he would marry her أو I would fly high in the sky بنستخدم would زائد اللي هو المصدر أو what we call the infinitive without to. في الجملة اللي هي الجملة الرئيسية اللي هي الجملة الثانية بنستخدم would زائد التصريف الأول. Okay. Now let's move to another usage of the past simple. خلينا نشوف استخدام آخر للماضي البسيط to express supposition. التعبير عن الافتراض. It's used with expressions like wish, as if, and suppose. Okay. ده الاستخدام الرابع للماضي البسيط للتعبير عن الافتراض بنستخدمه مع التعبيرات اللي هي wish, as if, and suppose. Let's have a look at some examples. I wish I had your talent. I, here, we have wish, and I had your talent. And by the way, I takes have. Okay. الجملة معناها أتمنى لو كان عندي نفس مهارتك. يعني معتاد إن إحنا نقول I have. Okay. لأن look at for example the three forms of the verb have. Have is form 1 التصريف الأول. Had is form 2 ده التصريف الثاني which I use in here. هذا التصريف الثاني اللي أنا بستعمله هنا. And had is the past participle. had برضو التصريف الثالث. أنا استخدمت هذا اللي هو الماضي لأن أنا this is what I'm supposed to do لأن أنا هنا بعبر عن الماضي الغير حقيقي فما أقدرش أستخدم have. I use had. Okay, so in this case I cannot say I wish I have your talent. Okay, the right choice is I wish I had your talent. Let's have a look at another example. You look as if you wanted to ask something. I have as if here. طبعا خلوني بس حتى كمان أترجم الجملة دي قبل ما أتكلم على الجملة الثانية. هنا بقول أتمنى لو كانت عندي موهبتك. Okay. Even in Arabic, I think it has got this sense of past. Okay. يعني حتى في العربي في هذا الإحساس بالماضي. لو كانت عندي موهبتك. Okay. Let's go back to number 2. You look as if يبدو وكأنك you wanted to ask something. أردت أن تسأل عن شيء. So here, because of as if, we don't say you want, we say you wanted. So wanted is the past form of the verb want. طبعا هنا استخدمنا الماضي البسيط want فعل قياسي حطينا له ed ومش هنستعمل المضارع مش هنقول want لا هنقول wanted. Okay. Let's have a look at a third example. Suppose I ask you to replace me. افرض ان انا طلبت منك انك تحل محلي. I asked you to replace me. هنا here we use the past form of ask which is asked. طبعا هنا استخدم الماضي البسيط من ask التصريف الثاني ونطق طبعا ال ed هنا. Do you remember we pronounce the ed as t. I asked you to replace me. Okay, let's talk about used to plus the infinitive. خلونا نتكلم على used to زائد المصدر. Okay, and by the way, this is the pronunciation of used to. This is the phonetic transcription. دي الكتابة الصوتية. Used to. I don't mention the D. Okay. أنا طبعا يعني I don't pronounce the D. ما بنطقش ال D خالص. Used to. Okay. Used to refers to a habit in the past that no longer exists at present. هي بتشير إلى عادة كانت موجودة في الماضي ولم تعد موجودة في الوقت الحاضر. For example, I used to go to school on foot, now I go by bus. I used to go, here this is the infinitive, كنت معتاد الذهاب إلى المدرسة سيرا على الأقدام, now I go by bus, والوقت بروح بالباص. Okay, another example, I used to live in Damietta, now I live in Port Said. كنت معتاد ان انا اعيش في دمياط والوقت بعيش في بورسعيد. Okay, let's have a look at the negation of used to. نفي used to, and this is what we're going to have. We're going to have didn't, and then used to, and then the infinitive. And by the way, we can also, if you look here, we can use used to, I mean without the D. Both are right, with the D and without the D. طبعا احنا هنا هتستخدم did not في حالة النفي زائد used to سواء كان فيها الدي أو بدون الدي الحالتين صح. Okay, so both cases are right. ممكن بالدي أو ممكن بدون الدي. Let's have a look at an example. Look here, I didn't used to drive to work, and look here we have the D here. هنا طبعا في المثال ده الدي موجود. Or you can say I didn't use to drive to work. Here we don't have the D. Okay. في المثال الأولاني الدي موجودة، في المثال الثاني الدي مش موجودة. Both are right. كلا المثالين صحيح. Now let's look at the interrogation or asking questions. خلينا نشوف الاستفهام. And this is what we're going to have. We're going to have did, plus the subject. طبعا ناخد عندي did وبعدين الفاعل وبعدين and then used to and then the verb and finally we're going to have the question mark. يبقى ده الترتيب. عندي did وبعدين الفاعل وبعدين used to وبعدين الفعل and the question mark. And by the way, I have used to here, okay, and again we can delete the D, so both are right with the D and without the D. ممكن أقول used to أو used to بدون ال D. It's the same like, you know, the negative form. نفس النفي بالضبط. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples. Let's have a look at a yes no question. Did you used to drive to work? Okay, and look here, we have the D, okay, and you can delete the D. So, did you used to drive to work? Both are right. And let's have a look at a WH question. Where did you used to live? And again, I can say, where did you used to live without the D? Let's just talk about the negation of the past simple. We're going to start with the negation of verb to be, and by verb to be here I mean was and were. Okay, خلينا نبدأ في الحديث عن نفي المضارع البسيط، وهنبدأ بنفي verb to be. وطبعا verb to be احنا نقصد به اللي هو was were in the past. في الماضي طبعا بتكون was were. Okay. Add not after the verb. So this is what we're going to do. Just add not after the verb to be, after was and were. هنضيف not بعد was were. So this is what we're going to do, adding not after the verb. So let's have a look at some examples. I was here yesterday. This is the first example. I was here yesterday. So how are we going to change this into negative? What we're going to do is that we're going to insert or put not after was. Okay? هنا طبعا عندي جملة I was here yesterday. اللي هعمله أنا هحط not بعد was. So let's see what's going to happen. So I was here yesterday. So I'm going to use not. I was not here yesterday. طبعا I was here yesterday. حطيت not أصبحت I was not here yesterday. Okay, we can also say wasn't. So I can use the short form of was not. ممكن برضو أقول wasn't اللي هو الشكل the contracted form of was not اللي هو الشكل المختصر ل was not. So I was not here yesterday. Okay, let's have a look at another example. They were absent. They were absent, for example, a week ago, yesterday, any past time. هنشوف المثال الثاني. They were absent. So let's see what is going to happen. I'm going to insert not after were. هنحط not بعد were. Okay, so let's have a look at what's going to happen. They were not absent. Okay, and also I can say they weren't absent. ممكن كمان أقول they weren't. طبعا were not the long form اللي هو الغير مختصر. Weren't the contracted or the short form. We weren't الشكل اللي هو المختصر. Okay, now let's move to the negation of the lexical verbs. And by lexical verbs we mean verbs like visit and go. دي طبعا الأفعال اللي هي لها معنى. هنشوف هننفي الأفعال اللي لها معنى. The visit, and by the way, visit is a regular verb and go is an irregular verb. طبعا visit فعل قياسي و go فعل غير قياسي, and we talked about this before. Okay, so let's have a look at what is going to happen. ايه اللي هيحصل؟ Add did not or didn't, okay, before So you add did not or didn't before the verb and change the verb into infinitive. احنا هنعمل ايه؟ هنضيف did not أو didn't، هنحطهم قبل الفعل ونحول الفعل للانفينيتيف اللي هو التصريف الأول بدون أي زيادة. Okay, so let's have a look at some examples. Look at this sentence. I visited Aswan a week ago. هنا طبعا أنا زرت أسوان من أسبوع. Visited is the regular verb and it's in the past. It contains ed. So have a look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to put did not or didn't before visited. Have a look. I did not visited Aswan a week ago. Of course, what we're going to do is that we're going to delete the ed. So it's going to be I did not visit Aswan a week ago. طبعا هنا بعد ما حطيت did not قبل visited حذفت ال ed فتصبح الجملة I didn't visit Aswan a week ago. Okay, now let's have a look at another example, and this example contains an irregular verb. هنشوف مثال ثاني وفي فعل غير قياسي. I went to Aswan a week ago. So what we're going to do is that we're going to put did not or didn't before went. So let's have a look at what is going to happen. هنحط did not قبل went ونشوف ايه اللي هيحصل. Okay, this time I'm going to use didn't. I didn't, and went. I changed went into go. I didn't go to Aswan a week ago. Let's now talk about interrogative past simple. We're asking questions in the past simple. خلينا نشوف ازاي هنسأل أسئلة في الماضي البسيط. Okay, I'm going to start with verb to be. هنبدأ ب verb to be. And as you know, in the past simple we have was and were. Okay, so let's start by asking yes no questions. هنبدأ ب yes no questions, and let's have a look at this sentence. Sentence number 1: he was in Cairo, and then I'm going to have a full stop. This is a statement. طبعا دي جملة خبرية. He was in Cairo. Okay. Let's see how we're going to change it into a yes no question. هنشوف ازاي نحولها لسؤال اجابته بنعم او لا اللي هو yes no question. We're going to make a sort of inversion between he and was. احنا هنعمل نوع من الانفرجن. يعني تغيير. مثلا instead of saying he was is going to be was he. Okay, هذا مسميه inversion. I don't know how to translate it into Arabic. تبديل. Yes, it's inversion معناها تبديل. So he was is going to be was he. Okay, so he was is going to be was he. Okay, he was he. Okay, and we're going to have in Cairo as it is because it's a yes no question. In Cairo تبقى زي ما هي. Okay, but is that all? Was he in Cairo? Is it a correct yes no question? طبعا هنا هو ده سؤال فعلا. أصبحت سؤال yes no. Was he in Cairo? But I need to make some changes. لازم أعمل شوية تغييرات. So if you look here at the W and the word was, it's a small letter. Okay, so I'm going to change it into a capital letter. طبعا the W هنا كانت حرف صغير. هحولها إلى حرف capital because in this sentence it was in the middle of the sentence, but now it's at the beginning of the sentence. طبعا هي هنا كانت في وسط الجملة فخلاص كانت بتبدأ بحرف small، لكن هنا أصبحت في بداية الجملة فبغير الحرف small لحرف capital أو حرف كبير. I also want you to have a look at he. So because he is at the beginning of the sentence here. طبعا هنا he في بداية الجملة. But when I have it in the middle of the sentence, I'm going to change the capital H into a small h. Okay. One more thing. في نقطة تانية كمان. Look here. I have a full stop. and it's a question, so I'm going to change the full stop into a question mark. وأغير النقطة إلى علامة استفهام. So this is the right question. Was he in Cairo? Okay. Let's have a look at another example or another sentence. Number 2. They were absent. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing, the inversion أو التبديل. هعمل نفس الشيء. So I'm going to do the same thing. So were is going to be at the beginning of the sentence, and they is going to be after were. So they were is going to be were they. طبعا هنا نفس العملية. They were هتبقى were they, and absent is just going to come down as it is. هتنزل زي ما هي هنا كده. Okay, and I'm going to make the same changes. I'm going to change this W into a capital W. So where, and this T, I'm going to change it into a small t. Okay, and here I'm going to change the full stop into a question mark. نفس العملية، نفس اللي عملته فوق in number 1. Okay, I make it in number 2. اللي عملته في نمرة 1 عملته في نمرة 2. Okay. So now let's have a look at what we call WH questions. خلينا بقى نشوف هنا اللي WH questions. Number A was your yes no questions. طبعا A كانت اللي هي yes no. هنا هنتكلم عن ال WH question. And in the case of the WH questions we use question words. طبعا في ال WH questions هنستخدم كلمات استفهام. Okay. Like for example, look at this sentence. He was in Cairo. Okay. هو كان في القاهرة. Suppose that I want to ask a question about in Cairo. افرض أنا عايز أسأل سؤال عن مكان in Cairo. Okay. So in this case I'm going to use where. هستخدم كلمة الاستفهام where. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing. I mean with regard to the inversion. So he was is going to be was he. So where was he? Okay, where was he? أين كان? And I'm going to have the question mark. وحط علامة الاستفهام. أين كان؟ يبقى he was in Cairo. أين كان؟ كان في القاهرة. Okay. Now let's move to what we call the lexical verbs. By lexical verbs, I'm talking about verbs like live and go. هنا بقى خلونا نتكلم على الأفعال اللي هي لها معنى زي live and go. Okay. The situation is a little bit different here. طبعا هنا الموقف يعني مختلف شوي. Well, I'm going to start with yes no questions, and in the case of yes no questions I'm going to use did. Okay. هبدأ بال yes no questions أو الأسئلة اللي إجابتها نعم أو لا. في الحالة دي هستخدم did as a helping verb. هستخدم did كفعل مساعد. So for example, if I have this sentence, Islam lived in Damietta. Okay. So in this case, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start with did. في الحالة دي هبدأ بدid. And I'm going to have the same sentence. نفس الجملة. Islam lived in Damietta. Okay. Did Islam lived in Damietta? Of course, I'm going to make some changes. طبعا مش هقول هعمل بعض التغييرات. بدأت بدid. نفس الجملة هنا نزلتها. لكن look here. I've got to delete the D. Because of did, I'm going to delete the D. بسبب did طبعا بلغي ال D برجع الفعل. So I take the verb back to the form 1 or the infinitive. باخد الفعل إلى التصريف الأول أو المصدر. Okay? Because of did. Intermediate, I have full stop here, so I'm going to delete it and have a question mark. So the question is going to be, did Islam live in Damietta? Okay. Let's have another example in which we have an irregular verb. خلونا كده نشوف مثال تاني في فعل غير قياسي، فعل الشاذ. Because live is a regular verb. طبعا live فعل قياسي. So let's have a look at this sentence. Fatma saw a film. Okay. Fatma is my little daughter. My youngest daughter, actually. Fatma saw a film, and so, as I said, is an irregular verb, فعل شاذ. So what we're going to do is the following. We're going to use did, and again, we're going to have the same sentence. Did Fatma saw a film? Of course, we're going to change saw into see. Okay. هنغير saw إلى see. This is the infinitive. And again, we're going to delete the full stop and add a question mark. Okay. Now let's move to the WH questions. خلونا بقى نتنقل دلوقتي اللي هي WH questions، الأسئلة اللي هي بكلمات استفهام. And I have here some WH some question words. عندي بعض كلمات الاستفهام here only some, where, why, what, and when. عندي 4 كلمات. Of course there are so much more than this. طبعا كلمات الاستفهام كتيرة. Okay. أنا هنا جبت بس 4. So we're going to use any one of these question words in addition to did. طبعا في حالة WH questions هنستخدم كلمة استفهام بالإضافة إلى did. Okay. So let's have a look at, if I want to ask a question about this sentence, إسلام lived in Damietta. Okay. افرض ان انا عايز اسال سؤال على اسلام lived in Damietta and I want to ask about the place. عايز اسال على المكان اللي هو in Damietta. So in this case I'm going to use where. هستخدم where and did. Okay. يبقى where did and then Islam lived. Of course I'm going to delete the D. طبعا هحذف اللي هو D. Okay. And I'm going to put a question mark. Okay. فنفس العملية هستخدم كلمة استفهام did وبعدين برجع الفعل اللي هو التصريف الثاني برجعه للتصريف الأول. Okay, let's ask a question on number 2. فاطمة saw a film. Okay, خلينا نسأل سؤال بقى على الجملة الثانية. فاطمة شاهدت فيلم. I want to ask about a film. هسأل على كلمة فيلم، يعني هقول ماذا شاهدت فاطمة. Okay, so I'm going to use what, ماذا, and did. Okay, and I'm going to have the sentence here. What did Fatma? And I'm going to change saw into see. And I'm going to have a question mark. Okay, let's now have a summary of the past simple. Okay, so this diagram is going to introduce to you a summary of everything we introduced in this video. So we're going to start with the usage, the different uses of the past simple. طبعا الرسمة اللي أنا هقدمها لك دلوقتي أو هقدمها لك دلوقتي هنشوف فيها كل حاجة قدمناها في الفيديو. ده عبارة عن ملخص للماضي البسيط. هنبدأ بالاستخدام. So we're going to talk about the different uses of the past simple. هتشوف كده الاستخدامات المختلفة للماضي البسيط. أول حاجة عندي number 1, actions that began and ended in the past. الأحداث اللي بدأت وانتهت في الماضي. And this is an example. They arrived home late yesterday. Number 2, past habits and repeated actions. طبعا الحاجات اللي كانت متكررة أو العادات في الزمن الماضي أو الأحداث اللي كانت متكررة في الزمن الماضي. For example, last year I played football every Friday. Okay, let's have a look at the third usage. الاستخدام الثالث. Hypothetical condition اللي هو unreal past. If I were a bird I would fly high in the sky. طبعا الاستخدام الثالث اللي هو الحالة الفرضية أو الماضي الافتراضي. وهنا أعطينا مثال. Number 4, supposition الافتراض أو الافتراضية. Suppose I asked you to replace me. Number 5, used to, and it expresses past habits that no longer exist. طبعا used to بتعبر عن عادات لم تعد موجودة، كانت موجودة في الماضي وما عادتش موجودة. I used to go to school on foot, now I go by bus. Now let's move to the time expressions used with the past simple. نشوف كده التعبيرات اللي بتستخدم معاه. We have yesterday, last, ago, in 2012, in olden or ancient times, once upon a time, in the past. Now let's move to talking about the formation of the past simple. We're going to start with the formation of verb to be. هنتكلم على التكوين. أول هنبدأ ب verb to be. I, he, she, and it, all of these subject pronouns take was. طبعا he, she, it بتاخد was. You, we, and they take were. Okay. Let's talk now about formation of the lexical verbs. هنشوف بقى الأفعال اللي هي لها معنى. Regular verbs. Visit becomes visited. طبعا visit التصريف الأول بتبقى visited اللي هو التصريف الثاني. Irregular verbs. Go becomes went. طبعا الأفعال الشاذة go بتصبح went. Let's talk about the negation of the past simple. خلينا كده نتكلم على النفي. And we're going to start with negation of verb to be. Was becomes wasn't. Were becomes weren't or were not. Was not. Okay. Lexical verbs. Did not or didn't. Visit or did not or didn't go. Okay. Now let's talk about the interrogation أو الاستفهام. Verb to be. He was becomes was he. They were become were they. We have what we call the inversion. عملية العكس بنعكس. He was تبقى was he. They were becomes were they. As for the lexical verbs, we use did. So we say did he, did they, did she, did Ahmed, and so on. So this diagram shows you everything we introduced in this video.
Okay, let's have an exercise. It shows the best answer from A, B, C or D. خلينا نشوف كده تمرين. اختار الإجابة الصحيحة. Yesterday he claims, is claiming, claimed that he saw me with the convict. So of course we're going to choose claimed, D. Okay. Number 2. This occurs, is occurring, occur, long time ago. I cannot remember the details. So of course the right choice is occurred. طبعا الاختيار هنا يكون occurred. Number 3. Which of the following regular verbs has ed pronounced as t? أي واحد من الأفعال اللي هي القياسية الموجودة دول تنطق ed فيه ك t sound. Of course all of them. Why? Because I say here booked, helped, and washed. فطبعا ed هنا سواء في booked, helped, washed تنطق ت. Okay. Number 4. Have you ever seen him before? Yes, him in a conference in London last summer. Yes, I have seen, saw, see, has seen. And of course the answer is I saw him. Number 5. World War II or the Second World War, the death of millions of people. Causes, cause, caused is causing. And of course the right answer is caused. Number 6. I to bed late yesterday. I'm going, went, go, have gone. So the right answer is I went. Number 7. Did you any games when you were young? Did you used to play, used to playing, were playing, was playing? And the right answer, did you used to play? If I would find another job. If I am, was being, were, have been. So the right answer is if I were. Ahmed meet me in the meeting last night. Ahmed doesn't, didn't, hasn't, haven't. Of course the right answer is Ahmed didn't meet me. Did Ruqayya to Fatma's birthday party last July? So did Ruqayya comes, came, come, was coming, and the right answer is did Ruqayya come?
Okay, the unreal past. the unreal past is unreal. Why? Actually, because the verb form, the structure is past. But it doesn't, for example, it doesn't refer to an action or an event which started and ended in the past, finished. No, it doesn't. Okay. الماضي طبعا اللي هو بيسموه الماضي الافتراضي، بعض الناس بيسموه الماضي الافتراضي او الماضي غير الواقعي. هو فعلا ماضي، ولكن ليه غير واقعي؟ لانه هو الفعل اللي هو بيكون في التصريف الثاني طبعا بيعبر عن الماضي، ولكنه الحدث the action or the event is in in the present or future. الحدث بيكون في الحاضر أو في المستقبل. So the past tense could be used to refer to unreal situations in the present or the future. يعني ممكن طبعا هنا نقول ان الماضي، الزمن الماضي ممكن يعبر عن أحداث أو مواقف تعتبر زي مثلا like for example the wishes or hypothetical and imagined situations. يعني مثلا الأماني، المواقف الافتراضية أو اللي فيها نوع من الخيال. Okay. It's used with it's time, it's high time, and it's about time. طبعا من ضمن الphrases اللي احنا بنستخدمها مع ال real past. It's time, it's high time, it's about time. Let's have a look at some examples. Look here. She is staying up late. It's time she went to bed. Look at these two sentences. أنا بقول هنا هي سهرانة. Okay. It's time she went to bed. حان الوقت إنها تذهب إلى الفراش. And if you look at the verb is went. We don't say it's time she goes. No, this is not right. ما بقولش she goes. Although it is the situation is in the present. طبعا الموقف في الوقت الحالي، بس ونحن we don't say she goes to bed. It's wrong. This is not right. We say she went to bed. Okay. لكن نحن بنستخدم التصريف الثاني من الفعل، بنستخدم went مش go أو goes. Let's have a look at another example. They're not paying you well. It's high time you got another job. طبعا هنا شوف يعني ما بيدفعلكش كويس، ما بيدفعلكش راتب كويس. It's high time you got another job. يعني حان الوقت انك انت تحصل على وظيفة أخرى. And we use the past again. Got is the past form of the verb get. طبعا got هنا الماضي من الفعل get. So we don't say get. Okay. We say got. Okay. Okay. Let's have a look at it's time. When used with to, of course it's going to be followed by the infinitive. هنشوف بقى it's time لما يجي بعدها to. طبعا بعد طالما فيها to هنستخدم المصدر. And again it indicates that the time has arrived to do something. طبعا في الحالة دي برضو بتشير إن حان الوقت لعمل شيء لشيء ما. Let's have a look at an example. Okay. An example which contains it's a time plus the infinitive. It's time to start your presentation. Look here. It's time to, and here we have what? We have the infinitive. طبعا بعد it's time to عندنا هنا ايه؟ عندنا اللي هو المصدر اللي هو the base form of the verb اللي هو التصريف الأول من الفعل. Why? Because after it's time here we don't have a subject. لأن احنا هنا بعد it's time ما عندناش فاعل. Look here for example. Look here. It's time you get. So you is a subject. Okay? It's time she went. She is a subject. Here we have it's time to. We don't have a subject here. That's why we use start or the infinitive after to, and automatically it's a rule in English grammar that we use the infinitive after to. طبعا هنا بعد it's time ما عندناش هنا فاعل، عندنا to طبعا شيء تلقائي اوتوماتيكي يعني كذا ان بعد to احنا بنحط اللي هو المصدر بدون اي اضافه. Okay, so here no subject is stated. We don't have a subject here. Okay, ما عندناش فاعل. Okay, so let's have a look at the same sentence when we add a subject. For example, it's time you, we have a subject here, so we're going to say it's time you started your presentation. Because we have the you here, we're going to use the past simple, the past form of the verb start, so it's going to be started. لأن هنا عندنا بعد you في فاعل، يبقى في الحالة دي هنستخدم اللي هو التصريف الثاني من الفعل. Why? Because a subject is stated. لأن هنا عندنا فاعل. Okay, before we move on to talk about more examples of the unreal past, let's have a look at an example which your colleagues had in their final exam this year. An example in which its time is used. قبل ما نتنقل على الكلام عن المزيد من الأمثلة اللي هو الماضي الافتراضي، خلينا نشوف كده مثال جاء في اختبار نهاية السنة في اللغة الإنجليزية اللي هو السنة دي 2022. والمثال ده كان فيه its time. And this is the example. It is number 10 in one of the versions. طبعا دي الجملة رقم 10 في أحد النسخ من الاختبار. Choose the correct words to complete the sentences. It is time we our lessons. طبعا هنا جاي long form. It is. It's and it is. It's the same. It is time we our lessons study. Will study, studying, studied, and as you know, we are going to choose studied. It's time we studied. We use the past symbol or form 2 of the verb. طبعا في الحالة بسبب it's time هنستخدم اللي هي دي، هنختار دي اللي هي فيها التصريف الثاني من الفاعل. Let's have a look at more examples of the unreal past. We use the unreal past with would rather or apostrophe D rather. Would prefer or apostrophe D prefer, and would sooner or apostrophe D sooner. طبعا برضو احنا بنستخدم اللي هو الانريال باست او الماضي الغير حقيقي او الماضي الافتراضي زي ما الناس بتسميه مع would rather او apostrophe D rather ومع would prefer او apostrophe D prefer and or would sooner او apostrophe D sooner. Okay, so let's have a look at an example. I would like you to have a look at this sentence. You always come late. I'd rather you came early. If you look here at came is past simple. Okay, it's past. Although if you look at the meaning of the sentence, it's not past. لو بصينا على الجملة اللي قدامنا You always come late. دائما أنت بتيجي متأخر. I'd rather you came early. يعني أفضل لو جيت بدري. Okay. Although the situation is present, but the past symbol is used here. طبعا الموقف لو هترجمه الموقف بيحصل في الوقت الحاضر. وبالرغم من ذلك استخدمنا came. Came is the past of the verb come. Come is form 1 or the infinitive. طبعا come هنا هي المصدر التصريف الأول. Came is the second form or the past form. came هي التصريف الثاني أو الشكل الثاني للفعل اللي احنا بنستخدمه في الماضي البسيط. Okay, why I'm using came, and by the way the situation is similar in Arabic. يعني في العربي مثلا الموقف مشابه. أقول مثلا أنت دايما بتيجي متأخر، يعني يا ريت لو جيت بدري. Gate is past. That's exactly came. So in this case with I'd rather, okay, we don't use come. I mean, if you say I'd rather you come early, this is not right. ما تقولش you come early. So we have got to say, I'd rather you came early. Okay. Okay, let's have a look at some other examples. Here, for example, I prefer you stayed there. If you look at stayed, stayed is a regular verb, and stayed is the past form. We have ed here. Okay, so I prefer you stayed there. Let's have a look at another example. I'd sooner you left earlier. If you look at left, left is the past of the verb leave. So leave is the infinitive form 1, left is the past form 2. طبعا هنا left التصريف الثاني من leave اللي هو التصريف الأول. Okay, what if you have a sentence in which the subject is only the same, or it's only one subject? I mean, it is the same. If the subject is the same in a sentence, and you are using would rather or apostrophe d rather, you use the infinitive after would rather or apostrophe d rather. اوكي، خلينا نشوف الحالة دي. لو عندي جملة فيها الفاعل هو نفس الفاعل، يعني ما في فاعل واحد مش فاعلين. في الحالة دي لو أنا بستخدم would rather هستخدم بعدها اللي هو the infinitive without to اللي هو المصدر. مش هستخدم بقى I'm not going to use the past form of the verb or the past simple. مش هستخدم هنا الماضي البسيط، هستخدم المصدر. okay بدون to. Let's have a look at an example. خلينا كده نشوف مثال. Look here. I'd rather pay in US dollar because I have got some. هنا طبعا عندي would rather and pay. If you look at pay here, this is the infinitive. ده طبعا ده التصريف الأول because the past is paid. لأن الماضي منها إيه؟ paid. Okay. So I'm using after would rather, I'm using the infinitive without to. Why? Because if you look at the sentence, I have here this is the subject. I'd rather pay in US dollar because I have got some. Some means some US dollars. لأن هنا نفس الفاعل. هنا I'd rather pay in US dollar because I have got some. So the subject is the same. Okay, what if the subject changes? I mean, what if I have two different subjects? In this case, I'm going to use the past simple. طيب لو أنا غيرت بقى الفاعل، لو عندي فاعلين مختلفين، في الحالة دي هستخدم الماضي البسيط. Let's have a look at this example. This is actually the same sentence with very slight change. دي طبعا الجملة B هي نفس A بس عندي تغيير بسيط. Look at the sentence. I'd rather you paid. Okay, here I have paid because I have here. This is the first subject, I'd rather, and this is the second subject, you. It's another subject. Okay, so the subject is changed, and that's why I use the past simple. I use the paid, not pay. Okay. Let's talk about other time expressions like wish and if only. And let's have some examples. I wish I knew his, I wish I knew his address. I want to visit him. If you look here at the verb knew is the past form of the verb know. Okay. هنا طبعا الفعل knew هو طبعا التصريف الثاني من الفعل know هنا في التصريف الأول. Okay, so let's have a look at another example. It is very cold in Port Said. If only I went to Luxor. If you look at I went, here went is the past form of the verb go, of course. Okay. هنا طبعا في الجملة دي أنا الجو في بورسعيد برد دلوقتي. If only I went to Luxor. يعني لو الواحد بس راح الأقصر. فهنا طبعا this is a present situation. Again, but we're using the past tense, the real past, to express a present situation. طبعا هنا الموقف بيحصل في الحاضر لكن احنا استخدمنا went للتعبير عن هذا الموقف. Okay. Now you can use were, okay, instead of was. ممكن تستخدم were بدل was for the subjects I, he, she and it للأفعال أو الضمائر اللي هي ضمائر الأفعال he و she و it after which and if only. بعد which و if only. طبعا عادة احنا we usually use was, okay, so after I, he, she and it are talking about verb between the past, we use was, okay. طبعا الماضي من verb to be مع الضمائر I و he و she it هو أصلا was, and with you, we and they we use were, okay. والضمائر you, we, they بنستخدم معها were في الماضي البسيط verb to be, okay. لكن with wish and if only we're going to use were with all pronouns, even I, he, she and it. في حالة wish و if only هنستخدم were but instead of was بدل من was مع with all pronouns بما فيها I و he و she و it. So let's have a look at some examples. I wish you were a wiser person. So here we use were with the subject pronoun here. طبعا هنا استخدمنا were instead of was مع ضمير he لأنه عادة بياخد was. Okay. Okay. Now let's have a look at other expressions or situations in which we use the unreal past, unreal conditions or the second conditional. هنشوف احنا بقى مواقف أخرى بنستخدم فيها الماضي الافتراضي زي اللي هو the second condition حالة if الثانية. As you know, we have 4 if conditionals, and we're going to talk about them later. I mentioned some of them, like the first conditional and the zero conditional before, okay? And inshallah, I'm going to talk about all 4 conditionals in one video. But now we use the second conditional to express the unreal past. طبعا احنا اتكلمنا قبل كده على حالات اف الاولى واللي هو zero conditional، تمام. السكند conditional اللي هي الحاله الثانيه من حالات اف تستخدم للتعبير عن الماضي اللي هو الافتراضي. انا اتكلمنا قبل كده عن زي ما قلت الحاله الاولى والحاله الثانيه والحاله اللي هي zero وفيرست conditional، وان شاء الله في فيديو من الفيديوهات هنتكلم عن الاربع حالات. Okay, the 4 conditionals. Let's have a look at some examples. خلينا كده نشوف بعض الأمثلة. If I were you, I would marry her. If you look here, we use were with I, okay? Because this is unreal past. طبعا هنا استخدمنا we're supposed to use was, but we used were. طبعا المفروض ان احنا نستخدم was، لكن احنا استخدمنا were, okay? And this is actually the if clause. دي طبعا جملة if I were you I would marry her. This is the main clause, and in the second conditional it consists of would and the infinitive. طبعا دي اللي هي الجملة الرئيسية اللي بنسميها المين clause، نستخدم فيها would زائد اللي هو التصريف الأول. Okay, so let's have a look at another example. If he had free time he would learn Chinese. Again, so we have here had. Had is the past form of the verb have. طبعا هنا had التصريف الثاني من have. It's a lexical verb, okay? So if he had free time, this is the if clause, he would learn Chinese. And here we have the main clause would and learn, okay? Would and the infinitive. لو كان عنده وقت فراغ كان يتعلم اللغة الصينية. Okay. Let's have a look at some other expressions like supposing, or suppose, or imagine, or what if. Again, we use the unreal past with these expressions. طبعا احنا برضو بنستخدم اللي هو الماضي الافتراضي مع هذه التعبيرات. Let's have a look at some examples. Suppose your father refused to let you go. If you look here at refused, refuse is the past form of the verb refuse. طبعا refused هنا التصريف الثاني من الفعل refuse. Okay. And by the way, again, let's have a look at the translation. افرض والدك رفض انك يدعك تذهب، انه يخليك تمشي يعني او تروح. Okay. فهنا this is past although the situation is present. Okay. رغم ان الموقف في الحاضر ولا اننا استخدمنا الماضي. Let's have a look at another example. What if our team won the match? Okay, and here we have won. Won is the past form of the verb win. هنا عندنا won. الفعل won هو التصريف الثاني من الفعل win. هنا ماذا لو كسب فريقنا المباراة؟
Okay, let's answer this exercise. Choose the best answer from A, B, C, or D. Okay. Number 1. I'd prefer you the other car. I'd prefer you buy, are buying, have bought, bought. And of course the answer is D, bought. Number 2. Suppose I know, what will you do? Suppose I said, say, am saying, have said. And of course the answer is suppose I said. Number 3. If I were you, that house, I will buy, would buy, or am buying. And of course the answer, if I were you, I would buy that house. Number 4. If I, a doctor, I would cure people for free. If I was, am, were, will be. So the answer, if I were. Number 5. It's time you to bed. You look tired. It's time you go, are going, went, have gone. And the answer is time you went. Number 6. It's time to bed now. Is going, go, went, have gone. And the answer is to go. We have it's time here, and we have to, so we have got to choose to go. طبعا هنا عندنا it's time ولكن بعدها to، بعدها هنا to، فما اقدرش اقول went. بعد to هاخد اللي هو التصريف الاول اللي هو go. Number 7. I'd rather you right now because they are waiting for you. I'd rather you left, leave, were leaving, are leaving, and the answer is left. I'd rather left, leaves, leave, I'm leaving now because I'm in a hurry. And the answer is I'd rather leave. Why? طب ليه هنا في 7 أخدت left وفي 8 أخدت leave؟ أقول لك لأن هنا I'd rather عندي فاعلين مختلفين. هنا I'd rather I و you فاعلين مختلفين، عشان كده استخدمت left. لكن لو الفاعل واحد هنا زي I'd rather leave now because I. so هنا الفاعل هنا I نفس الفاعل، ففي الحالة دي بستخدم المضارع البسيط، ما بستخدمش الماضي البسيط. And we have just explained this. احنا طبعا شرحنا النقطة دي. I wish he what I really want. I wish he knew, knows, has known. And of course the answer is I wish he knew. Number 10 and the last point. Suppose he now to meet you. Suppose he comes, come, came is coming. And of course the answer is suppose he came.
This is actually the end of video number 4, which we introduced part 3 of lesson 2 unit 1. طبعا ده نهاية الفيديو الرابع اللي قدمنا فيه الجزء الثالث من الدرس الثاني من الوحدة الأولى. In video number 5 we are going to introduce part 4 of lesson 2 unit 1. في إن شاء الله الفيديو الجاي اللي هو الفيديو 5 هنقدم الجزء الرابع من الدرس اللي هو الثاني في الوحدة الأولى. We are still covering Unit 1, and don't forget to subscribe in the channel, to support us with your likes, and to hit the bell button to get all the videos I publish. ما تنساش تشترك في القناة، تدعمنا باللايكس، وتضغط على زر الجرس عشان يجي لك كل الفيديوهات اللي أنا بنشرها. Until I see you in the next video, I wish you the best of luck. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.